An impressive view. We can infer much of the lay of the land from here.
Should be a good place to take stock of our surroundings.
Right you are.
Ah, such a nice view. And such a big world to explore. Let's talk about it. Hello, wizard warlocks and warriors. Welcome to Multiverse. Now, I've started playing Dragon's Dogma 2. Basically, I was planning to cover Dragon's Dogma. I suddenly have two issues right now. The first one is that I've been playing the game for roughly 12 hours. I say roughly 12 hours because when I look at the PlayStation homepage, it does tell me that I've been playing the game for 12 hours, but it's been telling me that for quite a few hours now. So I don't know if the timer is broken or something, but anyways, let's say 12 hours for now. So roughly by now, I would have made 12 videos of 1 hour each, which is not really a good idea. The better option would be to make a live stream, basically to go live and then to play the game for 2-3 hours and make a 2-3 hour video of the live stream. Sadly, I realized that on this channel, I cannot do live streams just yet. So I will be covering Dragon's Dogma, but instead of showing the whole gameplay as I was planning to, I'll probably have to show highlights of certain battles, certain missions, certain cities. We're gonna have to wait and see for that. So I did play the game for roughly 12 hours, although I did play the previous Dragon's Dogma. I did play the first Dragon's Dogma way back when for a lot of hours. So I think I understand the game well enough to be able to give a first impression so far. At first, let us start with microtransactions. Yes, there are microtransactions in the game, but no, you do not need to purchase those microtransactions. If you don't, actually I would say a lot of them are pretty much useless. And most of the microtransactions are pretty much pointless. Like there is a camping kit that you can purchase that sadly you will be using once and it's a consumable. So you will use it once, it will disappear, and you'll never have it again. So it's completely pointless to purchase some of those microtransactions. The only microtransactions that might be really useful would be the port crystal. And sadly, it's just the port crystals themselves are not that useful. And I already found the two of them. I guess I will have to make a port crystal video specifically in order to be able to explore the question. But basically, you will be able to find port crystals in the game. But also, the port crystals themselves are useless because you need fairy stones in order to be able to warp to the port crystals. So the fairy stones are the real thing that you need to purchase, and sadly, you cannot purchase those from the PlayStation Store. So this is what you would need to purchase in order to be able to teleport more often in the game. Having many port crystals only allow you to teleport to multiple locations. But if you want to be able to use that option very often, you need fairy stone. And those you have to find in the game, or you have to buy in the game. And they're pretty expensive in the game. I guess there is also the wake stone that could be useful from the PlayStation Store, but you're limited to purchasing 5 of those wake stone. And as you can see, you can find them in the game. For the people who are, let's say, unhappy with Dragon's Dogma 2, some of them don't seem to have played Dragon's Dogma at all. Some of them don't even seem to understand how the game works, or that the items on the PlayStation Store are not very useful. And I understand that some of them are not happy about the Dragon's Dogma 2. It's not because of the items themselves, just the fact that there are microtransactions in a single player game. That is what people are against. But I also have to show both sides of the coin. Yes, there are microtransactions in the game, but you do not need those microtransactions in order to be able to play the game. Again, some of those items that you can get from the PlayStation Store are pretty much useless. I guess we could start by talking about if you like the first Dragon's Dogma game, you're going to like this one. It is very, very similar. Although on the same note, if you don't like the first Dragon's Dogma, you're not going to like this one. Combat works pretty much the same way. The fast travel pretty much works the same way. You pretty much have to run all over the place, at least early on. Like, I've been playing for 12 hours, and this is only the areas that I've covered so far. And even then, there's a lot of places that I did not explore fully just yet. Like, there's some caves that I did not go into just yet. Like, there's some caves that I saw that I told myself, okay, I'll come back here later, because I was already doing a quest or something like that. So, I did not fully explore this area here. There's still quite a lot that I have left to explore in this area. And at this point, we don't know if this is the only map. Like, what if there are other maps in the game that we could explore? I guess we'll find out a little bit later. And even in the middle of the map, there's a part here that I did not explore. It goes all the way up to here. It goes all the way left to here. I don't know if you see it, it's kind of subtle. And there's some more of the map down here. So if you like games where you can explore, this will be a great game for you. There's a lot of exploration we can do in this game. And yes, early on, you pretty much have to run everywhere, and your character gets tired pretty quickly, and especially if you carry too much inventory. For a while, my character was like heavy or very heavy, so I was running very slowly. I had to get rid of a whole bunch of stuff. I guess that's the first issue I would have with the game, is that there's a lot of stuff that you will pick up because you never know what you're going to need, and sometimes there are things that you will need for certain situations. But if you carry too much stuff, your movement will be slower. It's sad, but that's how it is. So I've been playing a bit more than 12 hours, and you can see my character is level 22. You go up in level fairly quickly, and so does your pawn. I'll talk a bit more about pawns in just a minute. So you can see my pawn is one level behind me. So you do have one pawn that you create, and then you can take two additional pawns that will follow you around. So you can see this pawn is level 27. The pawns do not level up with your character. So at some point as I go up in level, once I reach level 27, I will have to hire new pawns. The pawn system is a fun bit. It basically allows you to play with your friends without playing a multiplayer game. So you can play your solo game, but you can have the pawn of your friends if you want to. If you take the pawn of one of your friends, that pawn will gain knowledge, and it will be able to share that knowledge with your friend as he plays the game. Also, you can give gift to that pawn so that when the pawn goes back to your friend, he will have the gift that you gave him. But since they do not go up in level, you will have to change your pawn as time goes by. At some point I had a bit of a rough time because I think I was level 10, 11, 12, I forget. And I forgot to change my pawns. Like my pawns were level 3 and 4. So we were fighting some pretty tough opponents. But eventually I came to realize that, oopsie, I forgot to change my pawns. So the sad thing is that let's say you have a pawn that you really like, and sadly you will only have that pawn for a short while. Eventually you will have to replace the pawn with another pawn. I would have thought that if the other players also play the game, and if the pawn levels up with the other player, it will level up with you as well, but it doesn't seem to work like that. I guess I would have to remove the pawn from my party and then re-invite it in the party, hoping that they did go up in level. I guess I'm gonna have to try it out a bit later. So overall, if you enjoyed the first Dragon's Dogma, you will have fun with this one as well. And if you did not enjoy the first Dragon's Dogma, I can doubt you'll enjoy this one. So basically you have the fighter. The fighter fights with a sword and shield, but there's also the warrior who fights with a two-handed weapon. Then you have the mage who obviously is a magic user. And there's a sorcerer who's also a magic user, but that will be a bit more aggressive in attacking than the mage. There is the archer who obviously will fight using a bow from a distance. And there's the thief who will be fighting using dual daggers. The fighting style of the thief is fairly fast. There is also the mystic spear hand. Full disclosure, never tried that. We didn't have that class in the first Dragon's Dogma. But if you trust the game here, it says it is a melding of magic and physicality. Could have sworn there was supposed to be more classes than that. Maybe we'll unlock those as we go further into the game. We're gonna have to wait and see for that. And now I also saw people who said that they had a lot of issues with the game. Again, full disclosure, I play on PlayStation 5 and I did not get any real issues. There is one time when two of my characters ended up behind a closed door that I could not
Fine
open.
place to harvest some ingredients.
Shall we see if there's aught to be found while we're here?
And as you can hear, the NPCs are a bit chatty, so it can get annoying after a while. Although it's probably not that annoying because I did not go into the settings just yet to try to turn it off. Oh, did you see that? That's a scary sight. So I saw quite a few reviews where people had issues with the game. I've been playing for a bit more than 12 hours, and on PlayStation 5, I did not see any real issues. When it comes to quests, there's plenty of quests to keep you busy, and I'm not sure why. Sometimes I'll get a new quest that does not appear on this panel. Here you can see all the quests I've completed so far. So there should be plenty of quests to keep you busy, but also there's a big world to explore. Just exploring the world itself and going into every caves, every tunnels, trying to discover new stuff, that alone will keep you quite busy for a while. And of course, fighting all the enemies along the way. But even when you get into villages, there's a whole bunch of NPCs you can talk to.
This might contain useful information.
Let's have a look then.
And see here, you can see the pawns that are trying to give you information. When they do that, if you press go, usually they will bring you to a quest. Like sometimes I'll hear them mention a quest, I'll say go, and then they start running around, and I'll follow them to a specific quest. So there's quite a few times where I did find a quest thanks to those NPCs, or I did find the quest location thanks to those NPCs. And as you noticed, there is a night-day cycle.
Pray, light your lantern, Master.
Oh, see, he tells us what to do. So at night, you pretty much have to use your lanterns because you don't see anything. But sadly, in order to be able to use your lanterns, you have to carry some oil with you. So one of the challenges of the game is probably that. The inventory. You have to spend a lot of time sometimes managing your inventory. And you cannot carry everything you want. Like at some point I had over 20 of those potions. And it was too heavy. So I had to get rid of some of them. You do have a chest where you can stash some of your gear. So whatever extra stuff you don't want to carry around, you can just put it in the chest and go back when you really need it. Although personally I hate doing that because there is a few times where there is something that I would have needed right now and I left it in my chest. And you can see there's an option also to combine item. So I could decide to combine some green warish with some grapes and may turn it into a potion. And I could decide how many I want to. I only have enough to make one. If you like to do some crafting, there's plenty of crafting to do in this game. Also, it's more than just crafting. You will be able to put some augments into your gear.
This material can be used to enhance equipment and is a rarity besides.
We shall have to think long and hard about what to do with it.
And of course, seeing how you can enhance your gear, there are some components that will be needed to enhance your gear. So depending on what ability you want to give to your gear, you will need various components. So here you can see I have a misshapen eye that I took from the Cyclops. I will be able to use that to enhance my equipment at some point. I don't know if you noticed, next to the armor, there's like 4 little slots. These are upgrades you could give to your gear if you want to. I would not say too much about it just yet because I did not use it just yet. I did use it a lot in Dragon's Dogma, the first game, but in this game, I did not really do any enhancement for my gear just yet. So again, here you could see I could upgrade my daggers, my headpiece, my armor, my pants. Oh, no upgrade for the cloak though, or the mask. Oh, I saw a shadow. I don't like that. There was one time where I was in a ox cart, and then we saw the big shadow of the griffin pass by. 1 time, 2 times. The 3rd time, it crashed on the ox cart, and we had quite a fight on our hands. Oh, here we can see 1 time.
I'll gather this. It might be of use.
And there is the option to travel with an ox cart, but holy crap is it slow. Although, it's probably just for this mission. I'm curious to see if after doing this mission, if it will be faster. We'll see.
I can't imagine we're in need of a campsite.
2 times.
It's enough to make camp only when the need arises.
So hopefully traveling by ox cart will be a bit faster than this after this mission. We'll have to wait and see for that.
Freshly rested as we are, this battle ought to be in our favor.
We must not let down our guard.
Oh, and the 3rd time's the charm. We heard him scream in the back, but I didn't realize that this would happen next. I'm sorry if it is a bit of a spoiler, but the other selling point other than having a big world to explore is the boss fights. The boss fights are pretty awesome. I would even say epic. So I had to show you at least one boss fight, and this one starts with a bang and with quite a surprise. So I thought it was pretty one of the best example I could show you of a pretty awesome boss fight, and also of how you can be sometimes surprised by what is going on in the game. There's a lot of surprises in the game, don't worry, that is not the only time you will get such a surprise. And there's a lot of bosses to fight. I fought quite a few griffins in the game so far, and sadly the only 2 times I was able to defeat the griffin is when the griffin did something really stupid. Like at some point the griffin flew away, and I was stuck on his back, so I thought, oh man, I'm really in trouble now. And the griffin flew and flew and flew, and he went pretty much over the ocean, and then he nosedived into the ocean. That is how I was able to defeat him that one time. So sadly, I was not able to defeat the griffin without some sort of cheese like that. Another strategy also you can use with certain monsters, like basically the big cyclopses or giants or whatever, you can throw them off a cliff, or even regular NPCs. Sometimes you can grab an NPC and just throw him off the cliff, and that will be the end of it. Although you have to be extra careful because you can easily fall down a cliff yourself. Or even the griffin. Again, to come back to the griffin, at some point I was fighting the griffin. The griffin started flying up in the air, and then I fell off from the griffin. I wasn't that high from the ground, but that was enough to sadly put an end to my character. It's sad, but what can you do? While we fight the griffin, I could probably mention a couple of things. The first thing I really have to mention is the save files. For some reason, you can only have one save file. That means that you can only play one character at a time. And even then, we don't even have the option to be able to delete the save file to create a new character if you want to. Supposedly that is a bug, and there is supposed to be a patch that will fix that a bit later. But basically, once you create your character at the start of the game, that's it. That's going to be your character until they actually put in a fix so that you can change your character. And even then, you will still have only one save file. So it's a bit of a weird choice, them forcing you to play only the one character. Yes, in the long run, you can change your character class, and you can play any classes if you want to with your one character. But I'm sure that there's other people who would like to be able to create, let's say, one character that's a rogue build, create one character that's a fighter build, create one character that's a mage build, and also of different races. Like, basically we have human, and we have the cat people, I forget the name. So I'm sure some people would like to create the one character that's human, and one character that's a cat person. And sadly, we don't have that option. We have only the one save file. And here I thought that the griffin had flown away, but then, oh no, he's still here. So I was expecting him to come back into battle. And you can see we didn't quite defeat him just yet, but we're pretty much a long way in there. But there you can see, holy crap, he jumped right into the water, and that was the end of it. That is one of the annoying part of Dragon's Dogma. You cannot go into the water at all. Like, you can go into the water if it's really, really shallow, like at ankles deep at most. But there's one time where I pretty much ended up in the water, like down to the waist, and I was stuck there, and I pretty much drowned. I ended up fighting a few griffins, and sadly, twice when I was able to defeat the griffin, it's because the griffin dived into the water and died because of the water. There's one time where he even dragged me with him. Evil griffin.
Freshly rested as we are.
So there we go, guys. So this is my early impression about Dragon's Dogma 2. So you have a pretty big world to explore. If you love to explore, you'll have a lot of fun with this game. The boss fights are pretty awesome. And I didn't even encounter all the bosses. I'm sure there's some bosses that I did not encounter just yet that will be even more awesomer, if it makes sense. But PC players seems to have a lot of issues with the game, a lot of issues running the game properly, and also the DRM. The DRM sadly seems to be causing some issues, that after a while the game doesn't recognize that it is a legally purchased game, so basically the anti-piracy stops people from playing the game. Sadly, anti-piracy software often does that. Many times I purchased a game in the past, and I had to crack the game in order to be able to play it, because the anti-piracy software prevented me from playing the game. So that is one of the drawbacks of playing the game on PC, sadly. On PS5, I had no issues running the game. Knock on wood, hopefully I won't jinx it and then cause a whole bunch of issues. Although I'm still fairly early in the game. Again, I have roughly 12 hours of gameplay. Maybe towards end game, the game does lag a bit. I have no idea at this point. I guess a recent example would be Baldur's Gate 3. Early on, I had a whole bunch of issues trying to run the game. But then later on, it ran well enough. And then towards the end game, holy crap, there was a lot of lag, a lot of sound issues. So it was a pretty bad experience overall. But so far with Dragon's Dogma, I can't complain. But who knows, maybe this will change once I reach the end game. I guess we'll find out once we get there. And also, of course, I did mention the microtransactions. So again, this early in the game doesn't really matter, and the items you can purchase are pretty much worthless. But again, maybe later down the line, maybe once I reach end game, there are some items that I will have to purchase. We'll have to wait and see for that. So there you go, guys. So overall, Dragon's Dogma is a really fun game. The combat is pretty great. Fighting the bosses is awesome. And there's a big world for you to explore if you want to.